What happens when a couple of friends deep dive into silly Star Wars thoughts and questions you never knew you needed answered?
Do you think that Shmi and Qui-Gon did the Funky Town dance?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. 100% that was her being like, come on, let's go to bed, you know?
She was coming to invite us.
Yeah.
Join us for some casual conversation on the Cantina Chat podcast featuring Jordan and Sean.
All right. Welcome in. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on another episode of the Cantina Chat podcast. Good episode today, I think. We're going to be doing a nice review of the newest episode, Acolyte. Episode 6 is what we're up to. Then we're going to be playing a nice, fun new game that we're trying out. And then, of course, closing out the draft, as always. This one is near and dear to your heart. We're going to be drafting clones.
Such a lovely time.
Obviously, we've got our regulars here with us, Jedi Jester Jordan in the house. How you doing, bud?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Man, doing good. Thank you, sir. We also have the Force Ghost on the coast. We call her Savannah. How you doing?
Hello. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. All right. Well, let's jump into our episode that we just finished today. This was a pretty interesting one. What did you think about this one so far?
Another one that I liked.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with this.
Yeah.
It was, once again, a very, back and forth type of deal, which this whole season has been.
Yeah.
Obviously you have Osha and you have May and you have both of their stories, what's happening, but this was kind of a different twist feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when it got right at the end of the episode. Overall, though, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't really have anything to super critique. There's a few opinions that I have, which I'm worried about that if they're trying to make happen, that I'm not gonna like personally.
Right.
But I don't think that they're gonna go that way.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think about some of those, which I'm sure we'll get into. Of course, this episode was called Teach/Corrupt,
Yes.
So we're back to the dual names on the episodes,
Yep.
implying that we're seeing the two names from each sister's perspective. But they did a little twisteroo there on us on the Teach and the Corrupt on who's doing what, because they've kind of made the implication that Sol was a little bit of the bad guy in this one, and the Sith Chimere was doing a lot more of the teaching.
Yeah.
Seemed a lot more open-minded and all that stuff. I thought, to me, the standout thing that I took away as one of the most interesting lines, I guess, of dialogue was when Chimere was talking to Osha, and she seemed to deduce that he at one point was a Jedi.
Yes.
And then he said, quote, "That was a long time ago." And she's like, "But I've never heard of you." And he said, "That was a really long time ago."
Yeah.
And obviously that could mean several different things, but there's a lot going on with that. What did you have any specific thoughts on that particular line?
I don't really have an answer for it. I was curious about it when he said it.
Yeah.
And
he appears human.
He appears human just like anybody else.
He appears like he's 20 years old, 25.
Yeah, we said
maybe
the same
at
thing,
most.
being about the same age as Ocean May would be.
Right.
Maybe a little
maybe
bit older.
a little older than how they appear.
But if a long time ago implies, especially when you use it that way, granted, a long time ago is for, you could count 20 years as a long time ago.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean a whole lot with how young Osha is for her to have said, "I've never heard of you before."
Right.
Clearly, she wouldn't have heard of all the Jedi anyway,
No.
so it's that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Right.
But it does seem like if there was somebody who was powerful, who was some Jedi Knight or Master or Apprentice who fell away,
Right.
maybe that would be big enough news. She thought she would have heard of this.
Right.
So that part is a little well, that is weird.
Right.
They made a big point of showing us those scars on his back.
Yes.
Which I interpreted potentially as one possibility being the cool-looking whip that Vanestra had, as could be scars from that.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wonder if he is old, but only maybe 50 years old, 100 years old, something along those lines, and he was turning to the dark side or something. She tried to kill him, and she thinks he's dead.
Right.
Could be along those lines. He was a former apprentice of hers, because he's upset with the Jedi. Says that they threw him away. Quote.
Right.
So I'm really curious about exactly how old, because he doesn't look old.
Well,
there's so many. What?
That's the thing. Whether they're trying to make a play on him being able to, the same thing as the witches and stuff, and kind of mess with midichlorians and mess with life, and then being able to keep his body young.
Right.
if he's old. Now, like I said, I mean, a long time ago could be 20 years ago, which is still, he would be technically 50. You know what I mean? Like if he's the same age as what Ocean May is.
Right.
So it still doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, if he was able to manipulate the Force and manipulate himself and keep his body young, and everything like that, then it's like, okay, that would make sense. But that's kind of another thing where I'm like, I don't like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, if you drink from the fountain of youth, and you stay young again, it's like, well, I mean, I could see that, but like, I'd be more okay with him drinking, like finding some sort of magical water or something that he just, does that. And it's like, okay, so that's how he's keeping young. But that's kind of the thing, like I said, that I just don't, if they make it to be like that, to where he's manipulating the Force to keep himself young, I'm not going to like that as much.
Yeah, I could see that being like annoying and frustrating in terms of like things we've already seen before and how we know the Force works that we have experienced so far.
Right.
Another like possibility I was thinking of was along the lines of something even more grand potentially of like maybe he's way older than that. Maybe he's really old.
Right.
And maybe he's got some kind of capability. We know he can use Force healing and he knows at least about creating life through the Force because he knows about their existence, how they were created. So he knows their secret. But we don't know for sure that he can do that.
Right.
All we've seen him do is heal and do other nefarious Sith type things. But anyway, my thinking is, what if he has some sort of ability of almost like transferring his essence or his consciousness or something along those lines into another being?
Right.
And so that would explain why he is really old, but the body he's currently inhabiting seems like it's 25 years old.
Right.
Because he's actually older than that, but he took over this body. Maybe this body is, even older, and that scar doesn't mean, that first assumption. I don't know.
Right.
But that would be a weird way to do it. But it could then start bringing up questions about the theories about Plagueis and all that.
That's what I was going to say, that if they're trying to make it some sort of play towards Plagueis,
right,
I'm not going to enjoy that part.
I wonder if they would know that enough to not mess with that, or if they want to mess with it.
I mean, if they're trying to go in if they're trying to make like a not directly directed to Plagueis and giving him his own story that is semi-similar to like a Plagueis and Darth Sidious thing and stuff like that, then it's like, okay, that I would still wouldn't like it.
Sure.
But it doesn't, but any story you have, there's always side story, split stuff that comes off of it. Other, like in the Star Wars universe, other Jedi, other Sith, other Force users, people, whatever, that are finding out about certain things that other people have learned and trying to learn it themselves, maybe not mastering it or critiquing it into their own way. I get that. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But if they're going to try to make some sort of play to relate to Plagueis, like to bring Plagueis somehow into the story, that's what I'm, I guess, really more worried about at this point.
Yeah. Now, what if they did that in a different way? What if, we know that he's really interested in having an apprentice, that he's calling an acolyte. He's not calling it an apprentice.
Right.
But like he told Osha in this episode, his main goal here is the power of two.
Yeah.
He's trying to have two. And from what we know of Sith, like one of the main reasons why an apprentice is always looking for another apprentice, basically, to have their own apprentice, is to overthrow the Sith master that they are currently linked to. What if Plagueis is out there in this universe already, and Chimere, the Sith in this show, is his apprentice right now, and he's thinking he needs somebody else to help him overpower Plagueis. That ends up not working out, and Plagueis then later takes on Palpatine.
Well,
would that be weird, or would that be all right?
I don't know. So, I mean, that's the thing is like, do I want Plagueis to be incorporated into it? I don't know.
We're in a time period where like it is sort of starting to make sense, where we would see Plagueis start doing things.
Right.
Maybe.
But
it's
we
a little
also
early still, but
I mean, we also have indulged ourselves into Plagueis, and from what we see, he was born between, what was it, like 155 before the Battle of Yavin, and then like 135. So if those, I mean, those are the facts that we know already that are out there. So it's like, if that's the case, Plagueis wouldn't be old enough to be even at 155, he would be
Yeah.
20
I'm
something.
not 100% though if that information is fully canon though. If
Right.
that's Legends time periods, we're running into the same thing as
Well, we're gonna
they've
run the
already
same thing
done
as
with
Kiadi
Mundi, where they had already established dates, but they tweaked it because those dates were never said specifically in a movie or TV show yet.
Right.
So now they can change that, make his race longer lived than what we had ever thought it was. They could do the same thing with this alien species that Plagueis is.
Well, unfortunately, I just
It would,
part of me, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at too. Is like I'm okay with changing certain things, but if we have a date in Legends, it's uncomfortable.
can we stop messing with it?
It's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like I said before, like with the Kiadi Mundi thing is, I like him, and was it cool to see him as being young? Yes, but then it's like, well, you have him say the thing about the Sith not being around for millennia,
Sure.
and then we don't have a canon age, but we have a Legends age. It's kind of like, well,
I still think that kind of works.
Should we exploit? Should we just go beyond what Legends says? Which I know Legends obviously is not canon.
Right.
It doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe, and so it's like, okay, like in like the movies and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, like I understand that you have that gateway, and you can go wherever you want to theoretically.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's like maybe we should just try to keep it in that boundary ish. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I don't know. I mean, if Plagueis was his master, but we don't know that, or like it's just we don't see Plagueis.
Right.
But like if he's like gives the hint off being like, well, my master is like some sort of play to him, like whether Plagueis is trying to learn how to create life, blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah. Then it's like, okay, would I hate it? I wouldn't hate it, but would I like it? Meh.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a very hard thing for me to describe. Like how it makes me feel.
I know. I feel where you're coming from. I do think like one of the biggest theories, obviously, of Chimere somehow being Palpatine,
Right.
and that working out. I don't think that's going to be it. And to me, one of the biggest things that's cluing us into that is the fact that from Palpatine's description of Plagueis, he seemed like that was fairly rare, this ability to be so strong in the dark side of the Force that you could
Right.
manipulate the midichlorians to create life.
Right.
That was rare when Palpatine was describing it,
Right.
and he was the only person who knew how to do it, and blah, blah, blah. I would think that Chimere, knowing this history of Osha and May and how they were created,
Right.
he's aware of their existence. I think he would be like way more interested in them or involved with them versus just like, they might be useful apprentices.
Right.
If he was indeed the guy who is learning how to create life from scratch. So that's why I think that like he might already exist, but somewhere else in this universe. Because that capability apparently exists already because the girls were created.
Right.
So
I was curious because
It's a little
we've talked
strange.
about the Darth Plagueis book and stuff like that I started.
if the book is Legends or not.
It is Legends.
Yeah. Because I thought it was made just before the acquisition from Disney. So
Right.
the things in that are treated as like you can consider them canon until something that is canon contradicts them, and then the new thing is canon. So that's tough because you kind of have some presumptions already about how things are going. But we've already seen in this show with Kiadi Mundi specifically that they're willing and to change those sort of things for their story.
Right.
So it doesn't seem too far-fetched to me that they would do that, and they would make Plagueis maybe a long-lived individual.
Right. And that was kind of like what we were expecting. You know what I mean? That's what I considered it to be.
If the strange idea about him almost like being like a being that learned how to transfer like his life essence from
Yeah.
generation to generation,
Right.
maybe he calls himself a different name each time. Maybe he's only the body he possesses. So like if Chimere turned out to be Palpatine, or I mean to be Plagueis, maybe it's because Chimere, as we know him, dies and he transfers his life essence into this alien being a little bit later who
Yeah.
is Plagueis,
Right.
and then he's alive during the same time periods and all that. I still don't think that's what they're gonna do, but
no,
like,
I mean, I don't know, and we won't know until we get either after this or
there's only 2 episodes
whatever.
left.
That's what I'm saying. So they're gonna have to put a lot into it for us to get that, or they're gonna have to make a whole another sideshow, which I would love to see a Darth Plagueis and a young Palpatine.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Movie or show to where we see those two and how they incorporate and blah
all
blah blah.
their secret things behind the scenes
Right.
and all that. That would be pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know how the Plagueis book is finished or anything like that.
Yeah.
I remember I texted you, which with it being Legends, it doesn't really matter. But I think it like I was because had always talked about when Sidious and Plagueis had
right first met when yeah.
And I texted you and when I started this book, and I was like, I don't remember the year gap, but it was like 80 years or like a few, like 80, 60 years, something like that, before the Battle of Yavin or whatever.
Right.
Or
so
before the
Palpatine's
time of
not
the Empire.
super ancient either. Palpatine just is.
He was a normal.
He's as old as he appears.
Yeah,
as a human.
exactly. So it was like, that was when like the book introduced it or whatever. So I was like, oh crap, here we go. So like this time, because we had talked about like, well, how old is Palpatine?
Right.
And so I was kind of excited because I was like, oh well, this kind of almost answers it, but it's Legends now, so it's like.
Yeah, again, that's
we don't have a good
still
answer.
slightly twisted then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an answer, but it's an answer that could be changed.
I need to finish the book just so that way I know what happens.
True.
But
And they may do things like they did with the Thrawn books, where they had the same writer, Timothy Zahn, made the new Thrawn book,
Right.
and that is now canon.
Right.
So they tweaked what they wanted and brought Thrawn back in from Legends,
Yeah.
but they took the 3 old books and they're like, we're not using that anymore.
Right.
Chose the things they wanted, and then had him
And then
rewrite
just
something
rewrote
new.
it,
So
yeah.
like Plagueis could turn out to be some story they tell further along.
I would hope so, because for me, that's a story that we should definitely see.
Right.
Because that's how the Dark Lord Darth Sidious was made, how he was basically born into
Yeah.
the role of being who he is now.
It's such a sneaky idea and way that he got everything to work. Like, it would be kind of cool to see some of those things starting to get pieced together at the
Right.
young time.
Right.
Maybe he's like a young, before he like
like a young senator, or in
man.
school to be whatever.
even
like
some of that
political
stuff would be
school.
really interesting to
Yeah.
see. How far back was he involved in this stuff and all
Right.
that? Like that's wild. But I wonder if this show, if you suppose the end of this show is, I don't think they would do it, but like, let's just say Chimere has to die for the purpose of no Sith exists, and they
Right.
all think Sith are gone. Maybe Soul's gone, maybe Osha's gone, maybe May's gone, maybe they're all gone
Right.
by the end of this show in the next 2 episodes.
Right.
Does this show get a season 2? Is this show strong enough? Is this era strong enough? Is the story in here strong enough without the exact pressing bit of Chimere and Osha and May? Is the show have any substance enough to have a second season?
I don't know. I mean, this era, this time, is one of the eras that we don't really know a whole lot of. They could probably keep going, but if you say they kill off, Chimere, well, then we don't have a Sith to go up against anymore. If they kill off Soul, well, you still have Chimere, who is doing something with May or Osha.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, yes, but I don't know. Depending on how these next 2 episodes go, but now we have Venestra involved.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look happy.
She's
And
a monster too.
She's crazy. Yeah.
That's great.
So like we have her involved, and
How about
Soul-
that whip, by the way?
Yeah, that was cool.
Man,
That
she
was
whipped
freaking
that
cool.
thing
Yeah,
out.
she whipped it right out, didn't she?
She just looked by. Didn't even look
I
behind.
know.
That was
I
really
like
cool.
I don't know if that's her Padawan or not, but when he opened his robe, and the bug was already dead.
Yeah,
But he was
it's
like, yeah, a little late to the party. But she's cool. But now that we have her involved, and we now have this new little party that's been put together, which I don't know the Jedi, but
Right.
and then you have Soul, who said, "I'm going to have to tell the High Council."
Yeah, but then he went.
I don't
off
know what
radar.
he's talking about though. Is he going to talk about the High Council about the Sith?
No,
is that his plan,
he-
or is he going to tell them about what happened
on
years ago?
Yeah, I think so. That was the implication I had, was
Okay.
that he was saying it's time they know everything about what
Right.
happened back then,
Okay.
because it's causing these problems right
Right.
now, and now it's getting even more
Dude, I
people
feel
killed.
bad for him too, because
What is he-
everywhere he goes, no matter what he's doing,
He's
people are
causing all
dying.
this to happen, like in a sometimes direct way,
Yeah.
sometimes indirect, but like he's sort of causing all these deaths,
And
and
him-
it's like, bro,
Him getting emotional like that too, is
very different from what we've seen of modern day Jedi.
We've seen the Jedi who get emotional, Anakin,
Mm-hmm.
who fell to the dark side. He has been like dipping into his emotions in every
this
episode.
entire time. It's getting worse and worse.
It is. Well,
As
now
his
it really
guilt
is because
increasing.
one, he watched all of his. He led 7 Jedi or however many to their death.
Yeah, including kids
Jackie.
and like I call her a kid, but
Right.
Padawan.
Well, she's a Padawan. So he led these people,
people
his
he cared
friends,
about.
to their death, and he lost Osha and accidentally brought home May. Which him finding out, I don't know. That was something else we talked about. Jumping around right there.
I know.
Let me finish my first thought.
Yeah, we'll go to that.
But with him dipping into his emotions, that is something that we haven't really seen another Jedi do. I mean, you did have Count Dooku, which we saw in the Tales of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his faith in the Order, especially after Qui-Gon.
Right.
And he also dipped into his emotions, but we saw him do like kind of more emotional fighting and stuff like that through the whole thing. Like he believed what was right, and he didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when Qui-Gon died, he let his emotions get over him again, and he was like, "Yeah, the Jedi are nothing; they have fallen." And so then we have, Qui-Gon was a very different Jedi as well, but look at his master. You know what I mean? Him dipping into his emotions, we never seen that. Not like Soul.
No.
Obi-Wan at the end of Episode 3, when him and Anakin's duel, we saw him get into his emotions, but not during fighting.
Right.
Which, granted, Soul didn't do it either on this episode, but we saw him get in his emotions, which he did tear up. He was, he was very upset, but that's because he had to strike down his brother.
His brother.
And so those are the only times that we see it. So we do see it in almost like every era, I guess you could say.
But this was
a
much
much different. This is complete sorrow, complete sadness, complete, like
he
anger.
He gave in.
Very much so.
For sure.
Yeah. And then he picked himself back up.
That's a lot of guilt to carry. Like that.
Well, whatever
that's a lot
happened
of weight,
forever ago.
and we're about to find out.
Right.
I thought we were going to find out in this episode.
What another crappy
and
ending.
We didn't.
God almighty.
He did discover that was May with almost no like visual cue that he like. I thought that she was going to be mid-sentence and like he figured out, wait.
Well, when he grabbed her and hugged her, I was like, oh, I thought that was it.
I feel like it was just after that because like he's talking about how much she cared for Pip.
Yes, and she was like, I've always been this way, and he was like, I know.
Yeah.
And that was to me, felt like a very
revealing,
casual conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But was he testing her?
I don't know.
Or was it just him having the conversation with Osha that, like she probably was that way. And he was like, oh, that's no different.
And it wasn't until she started questioning like the orders, motives and what was happening with that and how she felt like her life got changed because of what the Jedi were expecting. And he's like, I'm sorry you felt that way. Maybe that was finally starting to trigger, but it just felt a little weird to me that all of a sudden, it wasn't like the little tracker guy came out and he was like, "Wait, what do you want to say, boy?" But it was just the scene immediately following. He tases her. Well, I say tases, but he uses the stun gun. And then the little guy's right there, like, yeah, good. And I'm like, was there a deleted scene that we didn't get of the little guy coming up? I don't know, but it just seemed like there was no moment where she was mid-sentence and he was like,
well,
there was no moment of revelation. He just knew somehow.
Something that made me think too, like. Maybe this is too, like, he knew Pip got strapped to the back of Chimere's back.
Yeah.
And he got lifted up.
Right.
And he was like, oh, you found your droid. You found Pip.
It was definitely a clue. Like, he was putting things together.
I think that's what he was doing the whole time. He was slowly noticing, or he was kind of putting it out there like, oh, I have no idea who you are. He just wanted to make sure. You know what I mean? She reset Pip. Remember, she had a factory reset. So his eyes went from like, what was it, white or yellow colored eyes to like, now they're red. And so it's like Soul, I feel like Soul is a very like, he would pay attention. Obviously he has, but like he'll pay attention to these certain things. So he's like, well, Pip looks kind of weird. You know what I mean? And even his beeps, I felt like were different. Like it wasn't like, like the droid didn't learn its
it didn't have
emotions,
a personality
I guess,
anymore.
or personality. Thank you.
It was gone.
So it's like, was he questioning, talking to her in the way to make sure it was Osha, or did he automatically just know it wasn't Osha? But like he kept trying to tell her the story of what happened.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, well, I don't think that he knew off the bat.
I don't think so
he
either.
He thought it was OSHA.
But I don't think we saw the exact moment register in his mind like a lot of shows do.
Right.
Like, usually, she'd be mid-sentence, she'd say something by accident, and it would register in his mind like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But, like, at first, he even has her try to repair the ship because
he was like, you want to go
Ocean's
check
a
it out.
mech
Right.
and would have been knowledgeable about repairing it. And
I was waiting for her to get out there.
I thought that would be a, like, wait a minute, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Right.
But no, they paid that off later. So I'm not sure. It almost felt like there was a scene that got deleted that was the moment of revelation or something. I don't know. But it was a little bit lackluster in that spot.
What'd you think about the tracker dude when he came out of the little vent and he was like, put him up? You know what I mean?
I like that he stomps on her toe.
Yeah.
He's all like trying to get her.
Right.
And then like even the little Pip droid, when it still was itself, it spits oil at her or whatever. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was funny. I thought that was great. When he immediately came up and it was just like, I was like trying to fight her and I was like, bro. Oh.
Now, how about we see Soul and he says that he's going to contact the High Council. It's time that they know everything.
Right.
And then fake OSHA, May's like, you're going to tell them everything? And he's like, yeah. And then the next thing we know, the power comes back on. He's realized at this point it's May. He stuns her, turns off the message to the council, and does his own thing.
Well, now, was she contacting the council? Because when she said, hello, is anybody there? And then you heard whatever it was that the council? Because immediately after you heard Vanessa's voice saying, hey, rescue party's almost there.
Right.
And he turns his comm off.
Yeah.
But, so that was my thing, was like, I didn't know
they were
if
trying to raise him that whole time, but his ship's power had gone down or whatever.
Right.
And so then, he had contacted them first, so they were trying to get back in touch with him that whole time. And then it just had just come back up.
Right.
So then fake OSHA was like, hey, anybody there?
Gotcha.
And that's when she got stunned in the back.
Right.
But he turned the thing off.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, yeah, we're right here, and then he bolts.
I think he wants to go find OSHA.
Now that he knows May,
because May knows where her master is. So I think that's his thing. He's going to go out for revenge.
Right. I had thought that maybe the top half of Pip being separated from the bottom half, that OSHA still had the bottom half, and May has the top half.
Doing
they might be able
to tracking.
Somehow have a tracker, but now...
Well, now they still almost probably could.
Maybe.
Because
I mean, he's been reset.
If OSHA still has the bottom half, you might still be able to, but I don't know exactly
I don't think
how that works.
Now. Yeah, I'm guessing now that he's been reset, Pip's, as we know him, is gone. She probably can't get him back the way he was. But.
Unless what she thought was a factory reset wasn't a factory reset.
Oh, that's a good point.
What I mean, it's kind of I don't know. So let's go to the end of the episode.
Sure.
So OSHA and Chimera have been doing their he's been trying to tell her these things, and she's very hesitant about it. She grabs his lightsaber when he was in the pool. She was going to, she wanted to strike him down or something, and he was like, you're not going to do it. So it's like, let's just go. So then he even gives her the chance, says, hey, you can swim to the ship if you want to start swimming now, or you can wait till the tide's out and you can just take off.
Yeah.
And she never did anything. She stayed there. She talked to him.
He's a master manipulator on one hand,
correct.
But also he's being pretty genuine in the way he's giving off the information. And this is something that OSHA's needed, this thirst for knowledge, this whole time. She hasn't had real answers. She's starting to learn slowly how to trust this guy. And that could be dangerous, but...
That's what I was going to say, is that it's almost as if May and OSHA have now flipped roles.
Right.
May is in Soul's care. He's going to tell her, once again, when she was on the table, I have something I wanted to tell you if I ever saw you again.
But that was a really frustrating line. He said, I've been waiting 16 years to say this to you.
Yeah.
If I ever had the chance. So I know exactly what I'm going to say. So we have to talk.
He knew that she was alive.
She was alive. Why else would you say that? So there is so much more to
There's a lot that we don't
know. Place.
Yes.
That's brutal.
So you have those two that have almost appeared to be, which we don't know. But it seemed as if they switched. You have May, who is now going to have to listen to Soul because she's
forced to.
Yeah. And then you have OSHA, who is choosing to listen to what Chimera has to say, and she's she's like very hesitant still, but she's also questioning.
Yeah.
And then he says, "You can pick up my helmet, and try it on. It blocks everything out."
It's a really cool helmet.
What a cool helmet, which is also made by Cortosis, which I learned after the last episode because we had talked about. I wonder what kind of metal it was.
Yeah, we knew it wasn't Beskar. We knew it was disrupting the blades, and we were like not really familiar with what that could possibly be, but knew it must be some kind of crazy new rare metal.
Which Cortosis is apparently a very hard to find type of metal. Which explains why we never saw it anywhere.
Stuff always in the EU, but never been canonized before.
Correct.
So it's really cool that this is most likely what this is. They still didn't say that that's what it is, but we're pretty certain.
I don't know if you noticed this, but while she was examining the helmet, like looking at all the cracks and stuff, she looked up at the wall, and there was like some sort of like weird, like almost like an ore looking thing that was like spining up the wall.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if that planet has Cortosis.
Oh, and that's where
he got it. He mined it from there.
Man, that planet looks so much like Octo.
I know.
I thought it was going to be Octo, and then it said
I thought when you brought it up,
I was like, this planet looks just like stinking Octo.
It did.
But,
well, in the middle of the water, it was green, it was luscious, it was rock. You know what I mean?
And the color palette, too, it was like darker color rocks and all that. But the more that it showed of it, the less I thought that it was.
It was a surrounding island that was off in the distance.
There's islands in the distance. Yeah. There's other things. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. I know it still says unknown, so like we don't really know.
I mean, it could. I mean, we're 132 years. I don't think the planet would change like that drastically.
And
not for an entire island to disappear and then the rocks that are out there, which...
The creatures are different.
No
porgs. No porgs.
Which could change 150 years later.
Yeah.
Chimera
wasn't there drinking milk out of some weird thing.
It wasn't some big thing that he was... right. He wasn't nursing on a big weird
What's that
space
thing
creature.
called?
I don't even remember.
Space cow of some sort.
Yeah, I don't know.
It has some kind of cow in the name. It does.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's something cow.
Oh, what a weird scene.
That's so gross. And Mark Hamill's like...
Oh, no. But yeah, so going to where she was with the helmet, and like I said, there was that ore. So I'm curious. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but it was kind of that brownish, goldish material that you would see in the cracks of his helmet.
Yeah,
so I was like, maybe that's Cortosis there.
Nice catch. I like that. It's interesting.
But then she picked it up, and she was looking at it, and then she decided to put it on. Yeah. And when she put it on, all you could hear was her breathing. And the eye slit was very narrow. Like you couldn't make. It was kind of like if you squint your eyes real tight and it's very blurry looking.
Sure.
You can't truly see what is completely around you.
Yeah.
Which then makes you have to go off of your own senses. So
yes.
Now
it's also an interesting metaphor because if we're supposed to be looking at this from exactly as you just said, she is left on literally nothing from the outside world and only her own perceptions, but also. If all you're seeing through is a tiny, tiny slit, you're not seeing the whole picture either, right? So it's an interesting metaphor of closing yourself off is not always a good thing because you're not accepting necessarily the whole truth either. So it's kind of a little bit of a foreshadowing that this is still not a good thing.
Right.
But also from a selfish perspective, that is very easy to see where you would go down that path.
Right.
And the breathing was really, really creepy. It was very interesting. I really was thinking that we were going to get almost like some chanting or some whispering or something that indicated that the mask was evil, that it was definitely a Sith type object as she was getting called by it.
Right.
They did none of that.
No.
They kept this very pure. It was very monotone. It was very, very quiet.
Right.
And that, like you said, sensory deprivation of even force powers can't come into this thing while you're wearing it. Like a Magneto's helmet from X-Men or something. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's a big, strong metaphor of her willing to don this helmet is kind of like she's willing to say, at least in this particular moment, at least willing to accept the idea of experimenting with the thought of trusting no one and seeing only what I see.
Well, that's what he said. He
but
was
also, the flip to that is those eye slits are trying to tell us you're not seeing the whole thing, though. So you are relying only on yourself. You're doing that, but it's not the full picture. I think that's a really interesting, powerful picture.
Yeah, I agree.
But cool helmet, regardless.
It really was, dude.
I don't know.
I
I like the messy nature of it. I like how it just looks mean. It looks rough. It looks old. It looks weathered and battled. Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, it was, like I said, good episode. There was a lot of things in there that I was like, that's pretty cool. I like it. It was very mysterious. It was very back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I think that was a good one. Which in my opinion, I feel like the episodes were just slowly like stacking
getting
better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, the first two were good. The third one we talked about, and it was like the first half I was like, and then when it got half over to the end, I was like, okay, this is good. Last episode, good. This episode, still good. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we're like, you kind of see like a weird steady kind of like climb up with like, which then again we are finding out like more and more and more. So then you're going to think your perception on the episodes are like, okay, so these are definitely getting better because you're learning more and more and more about what's happening in the story.
We talked about that too, that like it's so hard to judge a show like this that's brand new on a single episode basis because the payoff is really important on what they're doing with what they created. So like we need to give it a chance to do that.
Right.
And I feel like, we were probably in the minority of the fan base that seems like of trying to allow that to happen and like just give it a chance.
Right.
And I'm really glad because I'm pretty happy with the spot that it's at.
Yeah.
And I think it could pay off to be real good. Only kind of concern at this point is that there's only 2 episodes left, and I don't know what we're doing.
Are we going to be able to finish it? Like, are they going to be able to pack that much in 2 episodes?
In a satisfying way.
Are they going to make another season, which we don't know?
I know. How does this thing end? If it ends on a really dumb, annoying cliffhanger, and the show's not popular enough or not liked enough to get a second season, that would be just brutal.
Right.
So
I mean, it happens. I mean, there are multiple shows that get that, and it's like, well, it sucks.
I hope that's not what they're doing, and I feel like they're trying to intend this to be a one and done.
Right.
And if it gets a second season, it does. But I feel like the way they wrote this so far, it's intended to be one.
I think
story.
It'll be one. And
it's going to be complete.
It's going to be just like Kenobi was, which rumor has it. I don't know how true it is. Speculations. We might be getting a second season of Kenobi.
I have heard some things about that yet.
Right. That would be cool. I love Kenobi.
Did you see getting a little off topic, I suppose, but did you see the little interview with Ming-Na Wen where she was saying that the only role she's never interviewed for or auditioned for, in her whole life was the role as the Fennec Shand in Kenobi.
Okay.
Because she met Deborah Chow at a party and they hit it off.
Really?
And Deborah Chow's like, we're doing this new show and blah, blah, blah. And they were in like the second season or something of Mandalorian. And so then when it came time, they were like, yeah, you're it.
No joke.
And so she just came down.
That's
I was
cool.
like, that's pretty awesome.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, all right. Well, that's a good, I think that's a good stopping point for this segment.
Yeah.
Once again, pretty good episode.
Can't wait to see the rest of this.
2 more, babe.
2 more.
That's all we got.
2 more.
So.
All right. Cool. Well, let's take a short break and then we will jump into the game next. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back. We are now going to be doing a new game that we're starting out. Yeah, I like that. Do that again.
That's my excited breath.
What kind of monkey is that? Is that a Gundark?
Yeah.
They kind of look
How
like
scary
monkeys,
would
but
that
they
noise
don't.
be coming out of a cave? Just I wouldn't be scared.
I wouldn't be scared. That's the call to get you to go in the cave.
Oh.
You're like, oh boy, here we go. That sounds like a good time. The name of this game that we've created is going to be called The Credits Are Right. So it's like The Price is Right, obviously. A little different. It's basically going to be kind of like over-under. Okay. So our producer has put together a list for us of a bunch of objects that exist in the Star Wars universe that all have a price tied to them. So we'll take turns. We'll roll the dice, see who goes first. And she's going to present us with an object, whatever it is. You're going to try to guess what you think that the credits cost is of that object if you were to buy it in universe.
Okay.
Whoever's turn it is to then go next is only going to say whether or not they think that the price is higher or lower.
Okay.
Than whatever. So if you go first, you're going to say the price, and then I'll say higher or lower. Okay. If it's lower than what you said, I'll get the point if I said lower. If it's higher than what you said and I said lower, you get the point.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and turn the game right over to our producer here, and then, well, I guess why don't we roll a chance cube first and see who's going to go first, and then we'll let her take over. I think as is tradition, you should go ahead and roll it, but call your color what you want.
Red.
You want red.
It's red.
I don't want to play anymore. I don't like that you
win.
You
roll this time.
Well, honestly, if he goes first, it might be kind of a disadvantage in this particular game.
It don't matter. We're going back and forth. No, it's too late.
No, just roll one.
Just wait till later. I'm changing the rules, buddy.
Just roll
changing
one.
It was red again.
Okay. Well, I don't know what
I'm
to
so
tell you,
angry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm spitting mad. This is me spitting mad. Spit. Spitting mad.
Spit.
All right, we're ready.
All right. So, yes, the credits are right. Our first round is going to be ships.
Ooh.
I don't remember
So,
how credits are in this game. Yeah,
this is
Star
going to
Wars.
be 1 point for each
Okay.
ship in this round. We'll continue increasing points as we go through rounds. So first we have the T-65 X-Wing.
Just a quick analysis. I do have a slightly good feeling that you're probably going to win.
I have no idea. I think the longer it goes on, we'll probably get a vibe of what things are going to be once, the reveal is
feel like
made.
it's so,
But
like,
before
back and
that,
forth.
I don't think we're going to we're just going to be guessing.
So I guess first is what my thing.
Yeah, you're going to guess what you think the price would be to buy an X-Wing.
I don't know. I don't know how credits work because I feel like they're like a lot less than what I think they are. So I'm just gonna throw it out. Just 16,000 credits.
Ooh, okay, 16,000 credits for an X-Wing. I'm gonna say my guess is higher. I think it's expensive, but I don't know.
Right.
So what's our?
Okay, so it's a lot different. Okay.
149,999.
Wow,
New
what a deal.
X-Wing.
What a deal!
You get the 999.
They do the U.S. dollar system.
They do.
That's really annoying.
And
Okay,
you
so
said
now I
higher.
have an idea of what we're looking at.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I like the whole time I was thinking about. I was like, do credits are they like? Is something going to be like a lot cheaper than you think it would be? Or is it more? That's why I threw that out there because like I felt like it was like so much different.
The only thing I have as reference is like old games that like would make it so you buy things with credits,
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know, if like a shuttle ride from one end of a planet to another is 20 credits, it's $20 for an Uber ride.
Right.
It's probably not super different,
Right.
but who knows?
Okay.
It's space money.
Dude, I feel silly right now.
Well, now I gotta
16,000
go.
credits.
I gotta go next.
So you said higher,
Yep.
right? Okay,
Yep.
so yes,
I told
Sean
you you're
gets a
gonna win.
point for that.
I'm winning.
All right. So our next vehicle is the
Your buddy,
Aggressive Reconnaissance 170 Starfighter.
an ARC 170, the clone
An
ship.
ARC 170.
Well, I'm gonna just use deductive reasoning, right? Of course it doesn't matter. I'm just setting the base price. But anyway, if the X-wing was 150, I'm gonna say this thing is 110. It's older, probably has cheaper technology, older technology.
Higher.
Okay, let's see. 155.
Nice.
So yep, Jordan gets a
Nice.
point
Not
on
much
that.
higher. Personally,
Not
like,
much
I'm
higher
not
than
higher
an
than the
X-wing.
X-wing.
Yeah, weird.
Personally, I was thinking it's gonna be like around the 2 mark
This is
because
equipped
it's
with
like
more people.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like the
I
cockpit
guess in
is a little bit
retrospect.
different. It has the guns, the bigger guns, more guns. So I was like, I think it's gonna be more, but that's still
Also,
a lot cheaper than I thought it was.
The
gonna
Alliance probably had less money than the Republic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Be. Well, they
I hadn't
modified
really-
a lot of their own stuff. They would
yeah,
buy
they,
them.
they had
and
to
then-
take like trash and make it work.
Yeah.
So like, they were a rebel group. They weren't an actual formation army.
I tell you what, though, if I could buy an ARC 170 for 155,000,
You're selling your house,
I'm
aren't you?
selling my house, and I'm gonna buy my favorite ship.
You know what? I'll go in with you, and I'll be in the back.
You want to take the tail gunner?
No, you will not.
This is getting really out of hand. It's getting really out of
You
hand.
can be the tail gunner.
Thanks, buddy.
I got you.
We won't tell anybody.
We won't tell
We'll
a
just take
single
off.
person. We'll just go.
They didn't have astromechs though, did they?
Yeah. I don't know.
In the ARC 170s, the clones didn't use astromechs, did they?
I don't know.
I feel like they didn't.
The toy I got does.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's actually what the ARC 170
You can't go back in the slide easily, can you?
I don't know how.
Okay, let's not
We'll
do
look it
it
up
then.
later.
I was just curious.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good question.
Hyperspace, right? The astromechs of the computers. That's what does that. But clone ships, they may not even have hyperspace capability
I don't
because
know if the
they
ARC does.
pop out of the
It's one of my
Venators.
favorite ships, and I don't even remember if it has.
It probably can't because it
Probably
comes it drops like
Well, the
X-wings.
X-wings fly out of.
Differently though, they don't normally come out of the hangars of like those
Yeah,
big
you're right. They
Moncala
always
ships.
stay. Well, they're
They
security.
can dock to
Yeah.
like a Nebulon B and all that. They have like a tube that they dock
Yeah.
onto, but normally they just take off from a planet and they hyperspace
Yeah,
out.
you're right.
I think that's totally different.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
We'll
That
look it
means
up.
that ship is expensive. For context. Anyway, what's next on our list?
All right.
Tied.
We are
Next,
tied.
we've got the Z95 Headhunter.
Old boy. Remember these?
Me now.
Yeah.
It's back to
so-
you to set the base price. This guy's old though. This is like a pirate ship from way before the
I say
X-wings.
100,000.
You're gonna say 100K. I think just because of what we've seen on the others, I'm going to say higher again.
Okay.
Okay.
Dang.
80,000 credits.
I wanted to say like 60, but I was like, oh, that sounds like a little too low.
I should have known.
Right in the middle.
I wanted to go low, but the other two ships surprised me of how high they
Well,
were.
the X-Wing really surprised me. Obviously, I said 16, but I also didn't know how credits work.
But now you know better.
Now I know better. Now I'm just throwing them out there.
But if you were a Jedi, you might be able to buy one for 16.
The Headhunter?
Any of them.
Or are you talking about any of
If
them?
you
Yeah.
just used your mind trick to
That's
any.
what she just did.
Oh, I did the mind trick.
You love cats.
She made you do the
See,
mind
it
trick.
works.
She probably did.
That's true. I do love. Where are my cats? They haven't even made an appearance this time.
That's all right.
You ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right.
I do like the Headhunter. I think they look cool.
I think they look cool too.
Oh, my
Venator
goodness.
class Star Destroyer.
This is me.
Yes.
This is me.
No, this is me.
No, Sean
No.
sets the price this time.
Yeah,
You,
you just
set
did
the 100,000 for the Headhunter just a second
So
ago.
okay, so it doesn't matter if you get it right or not.
it. No, we
Okay,
should
okay,
go
okay.
back.
My
go
bad.
back.
I'm sorry.
So nobody has
Yeah,
an
yeah.
advantage.
Don't
yet.
listen to me.
This has got to be stupid. I'm gonna say $300,000
Credits.
credits. 300,000 galactic. You're saying higher
Higher.
than 300K?
Gotta
Higher,
be.
okay. Let's see. Estimated value at 59 million Republic credits.
These are what a deal. What a deal. We can
Yeah.
buy these for 60 mil, buddy.
I was gonna say something in the millions, but not 59 million.
I have no idea if these figures have any kind of accuracy either.
Where did you get it from?
Wikipedia.
It's probably pretty close to being right.
I
Well, I mean,
mean-
we obviously have probably
300K
We've never been told. I
makes
guarantee
no
you.
sense if you think about the fact that this thing is supposed to be carrying tons of.
That's what I
Yeah,
was gonna
that's
say.
two
150K.
X-Wings.
So, yeah, you bought two X-wings for the.
I meant 300 million.
Dude, that's
Too late.
That's.
So you got a bunch of points now. What's it? 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
Good job.
I knew
So-
that one was going to be high. I didn't, like I said, I wasn't thinking 59 million, but it makes sense because it's holding. I mean, I don't remember how many. We went over this too, how the number of troops it holds, but sorry,
Oh, no, you're good.
this is what happens.
All right. Now we've got the Death
So
Star.
for context, one ship was 59 million. Here comes the Death
This
Star.
thing holds.
The Death Star. Yes, the DS-1 Death Star Mobile Battle Station.
This was a lot of lives, and
Yeah.
it took a lot of resources.
Huh.
What was it? The 59 million, the Venator, huh?
59 million, yes sir. Death Star.
Hmm.
I think you could say anything,
That's
and I'm going
no
to say
million.
higher.
200 million.
200 million.
Why not? That's still less, though, huh?
I'm going to say higher still.
Yeah,
You say, okay.
it's a lot of money to me, but like,
Right?
Over 1 trillion galactic credits. So Sean gets the points for that.
1 billion, zillion, chameleon yen.
That's a lot.
It's
That's a lot. That's
So-
an expensive guy right
Good job. We've got 3-2.
That's the first one. That's the one
Not
that
even the
Geonosians
second one.
designed. Yeah, the second one was way bigger. Star Killer is even bigger. Stupid Star Killer base. It's the
Whole
dumbest
planet, dude.
idea. It's a
Get
planet.
outta
How much
here.
would a planet cost?
well free if
It's
you just
already
take
a
it.
planet.
It's free, if
Free.
you just take it.
It's
Yeah.
free.
All you had to pay for was the slave labor to like cut the trench out.
And the ammunition.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
no, they had all the kyber crystals on. That was Ilum.
That's true.
Star Killer base is Ilum, where the Jedi get their crystals before.
Yeah.
So the
They mined all those
first
bad
orders,
boys.
yeah, they used it for the. So you've got Kyber home. You didn't even have to transport it. It's probably cheaper than a Death Star. Anyway,
Carry on. I'm sorry once
Oh,
again.
no, you're fine. So we've got Jordan at 3 points, Sean at 2.
neck and neck, buddy.
I thought
Closer than usual.
Going to be a good game.
Oh man, she said closer than usual.
So we're moving into round 2. This is going to be vehicles. We'll do 2 points per vehicle just to kind of up the ante a
this
little
is
bit.
usually where that starts. to
No, it's
Things
not.
start to go
Dude,
sideways.
did you not hear my guesses on money?
One of them
I
was
said
really funny.
300 million and it was 79 trillion. Or,
I've done real bad. It doesn't matter.
what do you
It's
mean?
okay.
You've
300K and it was 60 million. That's all right. What's our wait? Whose turn is it? I've forgotten.
I think Sean will be setting the money this time. to
Okay, yeah,
start
because
with.
it was the Death Star was last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
So we've got the X-34
mhm.
Land Speeder.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, this is specifically the one that Luke sold. So we sort of know this because he was complaining about the money. It's not much. It's 3,000 credits. It's 3,000 credits.
Is it?
I want to say less.
Less?
Ooh.
Okay.
Right,
Let's
though.
see.
I don't.
10,550.
Oh, new it says.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
do
true.
remember
All
him
of these were
talking
new.
about
He
what am I supposed
complained
to do with
something,
this?
and he was like, "I only got ever since the new one came out. These just aren't in demand anymore." And they showed that he got less, but I don't remember how much. I thought it was around $3,000, but that's why I was thinking
Probably
that.
was.
That could be how much it was for a used one.
Yeah, for
Just for the
what he
sake
got
of...
to sell his used one, so even
Yeah.
even lower than if you're gonna
Right,
buy one.
Right.
The trade-in value on a used one. Interesting. I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
So, yeah, Sean gets 2 points for that one.
Oh, 2 points. That
Woo.
means more than one.
Now you're 4-3.
Wow,
Very
and
exciting.
more than none.
Huh.
How about that?
Did you know I could speak multiple languages?
Did you know?
You never even knew that, did you? That I could speak a bunch of different languages. Well, not a bunch, but like I can speak, obviously English I'm good at.
Yeah.
That's my native language, my
I
first language.
mean,
But I can also speak Galactic Basic, which surprisingly I've been doing this whole time.
Yeah,
So-
that's weird. So that means I can understand it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So what's the next one?
we have a sand crawler.
this was free to the Jawas because they took them.
Was it?
I mean, that's true because it was a mining thing.
Yeah, that the
The
miners
living
left.
cube.
The living cube. So this is my turn.
Yes.
Ugh. 300,000 credits.
Dang it. That's smart. I don't know what to say. I'm gonna say less.
Less than
I'm
300?
gonna say lower.
Okay. 50,000 credits.
What a steal! What a steal! We could buy a sandcrawler for 50K.
This is horrible.
You could buy a much smaller airplane for 3 times that.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah,
headhunter?
well, it has to be space worthy. This thing just needs to move on some sand. Like, it's all rickety and
But
like
this
held
is
together
It's
with.
massive though.
It's a house
Yeah.
for a lot of
But like
people.
you said, a lot of it was stolen. You know.
All right.
Don't
I'm
question
very happy about it.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course you are.
I'm very happy about
You're
it.
finally doing well.
Stop trying to jinx me this whole
I've been
match.
throwing all of these under the rug because I'm just trying to let you
You're
know that
throwing on
I'm
purpose.
going to
aren't you?
put my try-hard pants on and we're
Oh,
going to go to
let's
town.
see.
Yeah.
good for you to
probably
wear
can't see
pants
in the camera,
finally.
but currently
He never wears pants.
Yeah, no pants from the knees down, so that could be where you're.
Oh, from the knees down. Whew. From my perspective, I can't even see the lower half of your body.
As far as
so
you know,
I
I'm
just
not even wearing
assumed you
pants.
never wore pants.
Well,
Now,
Okay.
now, the more you know. G.I. Joe. That's something else. That's
We're
not
gonna have
Star
to
Wars.
cut
I'm
that
sorry. What's the Star Wars equivalent of G.I. Joe?
Star Wars.
That was great.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready.
A katana.
Okay.
I assume that's how that's pronounced. That is Jabba's sail barge.
Who does this one?
You.
Oh no.
Don't forget that a sandcrawler was only 50,000.
Yeah, but this is a sail barge, dude. They had parties on this. Jabba? You think Jabba's rolling around in some kind of 50,000? No,
He
sir.
stole it.
This was 120,000 galactic credits.
Less.
That's okay. Let's see.
It's going to be wrong.
285.
Mother trucker, dude. I would be horrible in Star Wars. I'd accidentally buy something that I shouldn't have bought. I could have
bad
bought this
salesman.
other thing for something better.
The Jawas were like, yeah, we'll take 200,000 credits for this. We'll find a new one. It's fine.
Dang, dude.
Oh, good one.
All right.
All right. So this next one we have the LAAT.
This is the Imperial ship.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
apparently had several names. The LE Patrol gunship.
Oh, this is like
Republic
the
Police
one in the
gunship.
Fallen Order.
Yeah, this is what they
yeah.
would chase you.
Yeah.
So yes, this would be
Me,
Jordan.
yeah.
How much do you think this is worth, sir?
Even no, 180,000.
180. Okay.
I'm going to just guess that it's less than that.
Okay. Let's see. 62,000.
This is ridiculous.
Now we know how Sean
I'm
always
trying to
feels.
go off things that we see, and it's like it doesn't make sense that like some of these things are more expensive than the others, and some of them are cheaper than the others because
I
it's
think
like
that ships,
Yeah.
generally speaking, are expensive, but this is a surface-only, ground ship.
so is a sand barge.
Yeah, but it was a luxury sail barge. That's a luxury yacht, dude.
Yeah, they had drink service.
It was a party boat.
They had shutters.
It was a yacht.
She said they had shutters.
That's the only detail.
I mean, on houses,
remember.
that makes your value go
It
up.
had a plank. He had to walk the
No, that
plank.
was a small one.
It was aerodynamic enough to
You're
hold
right. That
up
was
Jumbo.
the skiff, the desert
Yeah.
skiffs. Well, it had desert skiffs that came with it.
Like a dinghy.
Yeah.
It's like a
This is a $7 million yacht. But,
no, it was
I
like
just
an
don't-
85,000 credit yacht.
well,
was
that's
like
what I'm
a-
saying. The difference.
Like a fancy car.
Let's just move
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Dude, I told you I'm gonna lose this.
You might.
I have.
You've jinxed
There's
yourself.
a whole other round.
I know.
And
I'm
a
gonna
bonus
smack-
round.
I know. I'm gonna smack this. It's gonna be something about Barris.
Bonus round? No, it has nothing to do with Barris this
That's
time.
a good way to get us.
That's a good way to tell us. There's nothing to do
We'll
with
see.
Barris. How much does Barris for a night? Wait a minute. Let's
You
move
know,
on.
Yes. So now we have a snow speeder.
This is
We just
really
talked
fun.
about these
We were
today.
talking about
Sean
these
literally
earlier.
just talked about this today.
This is another non-space.
Yeah, that's why this
So
round
there's a
is
clue there.
vehicles.
Oh
they're
wait,
not
am I doing
ships.
it or?
Can they take these in space?
I cannot understand. Yeah, but I cannot
They
understand.
can go in space in these?
No, they hover. They don't even have like engines. They hover on the ground.
Oh yeah.
They can't even.
Well, they can go so high.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They need the ground.
Right.
Yeah, I think Sean sets the price on this one.
Do I? Thank you.
I
I
think so.
I don't know why I'm struggling so much on
We're
this.
Same.
getting a little off track.
I'm gonna
that's fine.
say this is 40,000 galactic credits.
40,000?
More?
That was a good guess.
I don't know.
I would've said more.
It's probably not.
Did you say higher?
I said yeah.
He said higher.
Okay, let's see. 50.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh.
What'd you say?
I said 40. so
Okay,
you
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
So yeah,
Good job.
we're 5 to 10 points now. So good job, gentlemen. All right, we're
I was
moving
really
into
nervous.
round
This is gonna be like
3.
30,000.
This is so exciting.
Weapons, droids, and objects.
Yes,
Yep.
weapons, droids, and
I-
objects.
Well, no.
So this could be, a variety of things.
Don't you dare.
I wanted to so bad.
All right, so an E11 blaster
Look
rifle.
at that beauty.
How much do you think that's worth, Jordan?
Well, an MP5 is worth.
Convert dollars to credits. Carry the 1.
Shoot.
Current exchange rate in America.
300 credits.
300 credits? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really going to set the bar for what the rest of this category is. We don't
Mhm.
really have any idea yet. I'm going to say just because of the number you picked, I'm going to say higher.
Yeah.
Higher?
That's
Okay.
Just to be
that's
safe.
Smart.
Yes, 1,000 credits.
It was still
for
low.
This.
It was still
Still
low.
very
So
low.
Sean gets 3 points for that. I forgot to mention that, but round 3 points, just like we've kind of been doing in several of our games.
Pater.
I'm changing the rules.
Pater. Say that. I said, anytime you get one to me, it was worth more points. Remember to say that. But if I
Little
don't
do they
get it,
know,
then we don't do
we
that.
share a bank account, so your money is my money. It's
Not in our galactic credits account.
Oh, I see that account.
That's
Okay.
smart, buddy.
Yeah, I can
Keeping
split
a
it up.
separate.
Yeah.
A
I've been
separate
taking
secret.
some advice from Watto. He's been telling me how to be successful.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
He made a deal with some Nemoidian, but he got thrown in a
Mm.
Sarlacc pit. It was sad.
No, that wasn't.
Yeah, I heard he was testing like a cap of some sort.
No,
or-
no, I don't
know.
I don't think
no.
so.
Sad. Sad.
All right, so next we have the GX8 water.
It was
if I could speak,
pretty
water
expensive.
vaporator.
I mean, were they expensive?
I don't know. They can never
I
get
don't know.
parts
Sean's
for 'em.
about to tell us. Were they expensive?
Oh no, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was looking at the Jordan. I thought it was you.
The Jordan.
I was looking at you. I know that Uncle Owen's farm had a lot of them. So
Yeah, but
Was he a
parts and
wealthy
stuff are hard
farmer
to
or
get.
was he a poor farmer?
I mean, he was wealthy enough
I
to
don't
buy
know
a bunch
why
of
I'm giving
droids
you,
and crap.
Like, ideas, so I'm just gonna sit over here.
Shmi was captured
And
by
paid for.
harvesting mushrooms at the bottom of these.
Yes.
That tells me a lot about how expensive they are.
Let's hear it, buddy.
I'm going to say using that knowledge and that knowledge alone,
Uh-huh.
one of these moisture evaporators is probably 8,000 galactic credits.
Less.
Less? Okay. 4,000 median.
Ooh.
So this is a little bit tricky
Congratulations.
because for this one, Wikipedia gave a range
Oh.
So they had like a bottom and a top number. So I just picked kind of in the middle.
I think you did great. That's fair.
I think it was the best I could do.
That's totally fine.
So Jordan gets the 3 points for that.
Congrats.
What's the total now?
We are at 13-8.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Good job.
Yeah.
We're not done yet, there.
I'll tell you what.
Hey, what?
No, don't ever. Oh.
All right.
Oh, look at that.
So now we have
Commando.
Katarn class Commando
Now,
armor.
are we getting just the armor, or are we getting the clone too?
Your
Just the
fantasies
armor.
don't get to come all the way true.
Well, all right, I'm
Just
fine
the
with the
armor.
armor. It's my turn.
Yes.
Ugh.
An entire body armor. Huh?
I think it's expensive because their visors were crazy.
It's got to be pricey. Surely it's more than
Water vapor.
moisture vapor.
6,000.
6,000.
I feel like
Ooh,
that's so
6,000?
high.
You do?
Yeah. For a set of armor, 6,000 for one set of armor.
I'm gonna say higher.
Are you?
I think it's higher.
Okay,
Oh, that
let's
means-
see. Ooh.
Dang! Oh, black market
100
value.
Yeah, that's the only
I didn't think it was
credit
even
I
higher.
could find
than
100,000
that. I mean, they're not for
credits.
sale, so it would be somebody who stole
rare.
it and
Mhm.
sold, like a pirate
Yeah.
who's selling one.
So, did you say more?
I said
than-
higher, so
Okay,
I-
so you do get the.
Yeah,
Give them half a point.
I
That's a
didn't
lot
think
higher. No, I'm
that
just kidding.
much.
That's crazy. Could you
Yeah.
imagine trying to supply, like, I know it's black market value, so what they made it for, and they, whatever, but, like,
Yeah, it
could
does
you
get-
imagine trying to set up, like, even a squad? You're like, I need 5 sets of this armor, and you're at $500,000 for this.
I just like to think that somewhere out there is somebody who's done that, who's bought this, but they're just some random pirate just walking around.
in
He's not a
commando
clone,
armor.
but he's in clone
It's
commando
Hondo.
gear.
Hondo just went
Hondo.
on bottom
He's got
lines.
Hondo's voice too.
Yeah. The voice changer doesn't work, so it's
You're
just Hondo.
It's just Johnny Depp out there.
All right, good job. Next, we have
Oh,
ARC
look at
Trooper
that.
armor, specifically Phase 1.
That is probably
So Sean has to put out a guess here.
one of my favorite paints.
It's pretty cool.
It is a pretty neat one. He looks like a construction worker.
But like a
who-
dangerous construction worker.
He's just finished putting out his traffic cones, his space traffic cones to block
Somebody
the lane.
flies through and knocks one out.
And he's like, "Halt!" That's what he's. Yeah. That's
Is
what
this
he
me
says.
or is this Sean? This is Sean.
It's Sean,
Okay.
yeah.
That's why I'm stalling. Well, again, I don't know if we're doing black market value or if these were purchasable because the Kaminoans
Probably black
like the
market.
Republic
This is
actually bought
military
them.
gear. It's probably black market.
maybe. So were the starships though.
Eh.
But this is I guess. I'm gonna guess because of what we just saw, 60K.
Lower.
Okay, let's see. 6,000 credits.
What the?
You were close.
Along the lines of what you said
What I
originally.
was thinking.
of the
That's
other suit of
crazy. The
armor.
difference.
Yeah.
I think that's because
Not
this
black
doesn't
market.
say not. Yeah,
That's possible.
yeah. I think that's why.
Still a lot
Yeah.
of money. Commit. Still $6,000 per armor. Ugh.
Specifically the ARC Trooper, but even if you think
Worth
that like
it.
a regular clone one is probably 4 or 5 then.
See, and I
if-
couldn't
ARC
find
Trooper's not much
prices on
different.
like standard clone
Yeah.
armor. That's why
Yeah.
these are.
I mean, the only difference
like
between the
a
ARC
little-
Trooper is the visor, and then that's pretty much it as far as we know.
I guess. I mean, some of them didn't in the show. Didn't a lot of the ARC Troopers have jetpacks and the regular troopers didn't?
I don't know if it was jetpacks or just packs.
Hmm.
I can't remember. Either way.
All right.
All right, moving along here. Next, we have a back to tank.
Oh, does it come with diaper guy?
No.
Poor Luke, man.
Poor
That's
Luke, dude.
yeah, this is our model, just showing the general size of
Oh,
the
showing
back to
how it
tank.
works.
But
This is one of the only other times that we ever. This is the only time that we saw a back to tank besides the new stuff
Yeah, you're right.
was on Hoth. And now we
So-
see
Well,
him
and,
in every
and then
show.
all the EU stuff and games, but
Well, I'm saying like in the movies and stuff. it's
Right.
Like, it
this
shows.
will be Jordan to guess the price.
Well, Boba had one.
his was laying down. His was totally different.
His was like a sun tanning bed.
20,000.
20,000. Okay.
Ooh.
Say his is like a suntan, a tan.
Yeah,
bed?
yeah.
His
That's
look-
you know.
Oh yeah,
like
because it
the-
opened up. Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
It reminded me of.
I
one
think
of
I'm
those.
gonna guess that the back to tank is lower than 20,000 credits.
Lower than 20,000. Okay, let's see.
Shkadaboom, baby. And that's a median.
Yeah,
You're
it went
coming back.
between like 3,000 and 100,000 on the range. So
Because Boba's was the lay down style.
I wonder if
this was
that's
like-
kind of like the thing, like the lay down style is
This
supposed
one
to be nicer.
came with the the medical droid and
the crane.
the whole thing. Yeah, the crane to pull him out.
Even the
This
diaper.
one's cheaper because you can like reuse the water.
Hopefully you don't reuse that diaper. Yeah. It's a one size fits all.
No comment on that.
It's just got Velcro straps on the side to make it tighter.
The robot. It's like, here's your diaper. He's like, he's too injured to say anything.
Right.
Oh no.
So good job on that. Jordan gets the points for that.
Okay.
How many is that one? That's 3 points.
You don't
We
get to
are
know
looking
yet.
at 16 for Sean and 14 for
But what are these questions worth? Is what
three
Three.
Okay,
points
okay.
each on the round 3. All right, and we're up to our special bonus round. So
Right now.
you guys are pretty close,
Yes,
neck and neck.
sir.
So for our
I'm
special
scared.
bonus round, we will have each of you just send me however many, your answer, rather than us having one of you
Don't
go
ask where I got
first.
that from.
So you can wager up to 100% of your points.
Oh, we're wagering points.
We're gonna do 100%. We always do 100%. We usually lose, but
Well, in
This
this
one's
case,
not a hard one
one
to
of you will
lose.
win, because whichever of you is closer, it doesn't matter if it's higher or lower, just whichever of you is closer to the value
Oh.
is going to win. So
Then
one
yeah,
of you will
we
win.
can
I'm
just
100%.
do what we always do.
Yeah.
Yeah. go
Gamba,
full in.
baby.
Okay.
Gamba.
So for our special bonus round that I
Barris.
prepared for you,
Barris's lightsaber.
one
Oh, no.
block of Beskar in U.S. dollars.
What?
Okay, listen.
And I'll explain the reasoning is largely based off of a YouTube video and some discussions on the Wikipedia boards. So it is a bit subjective, but I will explain our reasoning after we.
They use this as kind of like currency. The Empire did too.
Yeah.
It's true. That's true. One
They've,
block, huh?
They've used it for bounties and things like that. So that's kind
So
of how
we're
they.
both just messaging you what we
Yes,
think the
just messaging
money
Just
is.
one ingot?
Whoever's closer.
Yeah, one of these blocks, like you see, just one single block. And then it'll just be whichever of you is closer. So at the very least, one of you will win this one.
I feel like
I
that's
see
not
no
right.
Barris in sight. I didn't even sneak her into the PowerPoint.
I thought it was gonna be like Barris's lightsaber or something.
She's definitely somewhere. Is Barris the one
It's
converting the
Barris's.
money?
She's like, she's
Beskar
hiding right
block.
behind this pile of Beskar.
Waiting to pop out at any moment. This is a bad time, but I'm getting hungry.
Okay, so we've got both in.
Answers are in.
Sean was going with, I believe, a strategic amount of
Uh-oh.
101,000.
Ah,
Is that really what you put?
yeah,
on?
sure did, buddy.
And
What
Jordan
if you
went
put
with
100,000?
10,000.
Oh no,
It's one ingot.
we're way different.
It's one ingot.
Yeah, you
I
guys
know.
are
He
pretty
gave him a whole
far
stack
off.
just for the child. Remember, he gave him an entire case. But then again,
So, we estimate about $25,000 for one block, one ingot of the Beskar. So it's mostly gathered from Generation Films on YouTube. But basically, it's based on a couple different things, some different bounties that were paid for with Beskar, specifically, like you mentioned, the first episode of The Mandalorian, where Din Djarin is given one block of Beskar with a promise of a full container when he brings back the child. Now, obviously, he didn't bring back the child, so he didn't get a full container. He only ended up getting one piece. And that one piece of Beskar was used to forge a pauldron. So if we estimate a pauldron being about 10% of a full suit of armor, and kind of basing the price on a full suit of armor sort of to today's money of what you would spend for an elite soldier's full set of medieval plate, being about $250,000, 10% of $250,000 would come to about $25,000 for a
Gotcha.
block. So it's really just kind of a general estimate. It is also in line with rhodium, which is the most valuable metal on Earth, being about $20,000 or some change for what this particular YouTuber estimated would be however many ounces in a block of Beskar. So
Interesting.
yeah. So
okay.
So the long and short of that is yet another game taken right out of my grasp. At the last
You had
moment.
it too. You had it the entire game.
Wow.
yeah. It was close. It was close. You tasted victory almost.
You had it through the entire game.
That's a shame. Oh well. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Good
Another
job.
good game.
Good job, guys.
Good game. Appreciate your help in getting that put together for
Yeah,
us
thank
and
you so
everything.
much.
It was very
That was
interesting.
very
It was
good.
a cool looking little game.
Yeah.
you.
Enjoyed it. So, yeah, we'll take a quick break, and then we can jump back into the last part to do our very fun clone draft.
How exciting.
Thanks for joining us back in as we get ready to do the last portion of the show today. We've got our normal draft that we're doing. This time the theme is going to be different clones. And as is normally the tradition, we are going to be rolling Chance Cube to see who's going to get the first overall pick. But I propose a change to you, sir. Only because I've lost every single time. Let me know what you think. But I think it's still fair. I just think, for some reason this is going to work better. I'm still going to have you roll, and you're still going to pick your color. But you're going to roll both cubes at the same time. And they need to land on the same color.
Okay.
So still the same rules, but we need to, if it doesn't land, if they're alternating, you got to roll them again.
All right, I'm going to go blue.
You're going to go blue. Blue, you go first.
Yep.
So it's separate.
That's
so
one
now you
blue,
need
one red.
Okay.
So I'm going to go blue. So stay blue.
Yeah.
That's two blues.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
Does this mean I go first then?
Yeah, this means you go first, Jordan. You knew that.
I don't know what I don't know what you want me to do.
I don't know. I'm trying my hardest.
I'm trying all my tricks.
Next time, blue means
You go.
you lose, and red means I win. That's what we're gonna do.
No,
Don't
we'll
think
try
too
that.
hard about it.
We'll try that.
and...
But what happens now? This is just a chance. Get it? Chance cubes. What happens if they land on the edges?
That's when the podcast ends.
Oh, so we're just done after that.
That's when I walk off the show. All right, so it's probably appropriate. This is the thing most likely the nearest and dearest to your heart, the thing closest to you. So kind of appropriate. You get the first overall pick here in our draft of clones that we're going to make a team to fight each other.
So the way that I made mine and the clones that I picked, it's not so much like they're better than the others. It's just more of the clones that I like personally. We all the other drafts we've picked things that we both liked, and stuff like that. But they were also things where it's like it's pretty hard to beat. A lot of the clone troopers are just, I love them. I enjoy them.
Yeah,
and
you're basically building your favorite squad of guys to go up against my favorite squad of guys.
Pretty much.
That'd be cool.
So first off, you got to start with the leader, and you know how I feel. I am going to pick Captain Rex for my leader on that one.
Rex is, I think, no question, the best clone guy that we've seen in anything.
Yeah.
Like he's the favorite of everybody for a reason.
Yeah.
Rex is awesome. He was obviously my first choice. He's
Right.
the right first choice.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like him, and his helmet's cool. I mean, he took a phase 1 commit, and adapted it into a phase 2. And,
Yeah, custom.
He made his own helmet.
Yeah.
He's cool. I mean, his compassion for his clone troopers and his brothers, and granted, all clones had compassion, but I feel like he was very, very hard into it. I mean, when Order 66 happened, and he had to end up. Ahsoka got the chip removed from him, and then
Right.
the way he felt about having to go up against his clones, it
Heartbreaking
teared
moment.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Pretty
just
amazing.
a hard time. So
What a great duo they made as well. Like his
Yeah.
his battle experience and things that he did over the course of the time that we watched that show, all the way through to the end of it was pretty fitting. And I love that in canon they made him the old guy in the indoor scene where they're blowing up the shield generator.
yeah, you have the guy that's crouched down. He's got the white beard.
Yeah, he's all white. That's supposed to be Rex
Yeah.
now. That's officially canon that
Yeah.
they've done that. So I love that they found a
Carried him
guy
on.
and they put him in there.
Yeah.
And that was super cool to me. So yeah, that's a perfect pick, of course. The one and only pick that could go in that slot.
Right. Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely perfect pick. I think I go maybe potentially a little bit weird right off the bat then.
Okay.
I am also mostly looking at the ones that I consider to be like my favorite or that I thought were the funniest or whatever, just somebody that impacted me the most. And since I've lost the chance to get Rex, my pick is going to be Gregor. Gregor is so funny to me. He's the guy who was the Republic Commando, who had amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first time we see him in the Clone Wars, he remembers who he is basically, and he is helping the droids get off the planet, and he's just getting surrounded by waves and waves and waves of battle droids and stuff, and
Right.
he's just fighting them all off. But he's such a goofball because he's had amnesia the whole time, and he's one of the ones that lasts the longest. We see him at the very, very end with Rex, and I thought that was really cool that he was there in the Rebels TV show, all washed up, and he's still just as weird because he doesn't understand what's going on.
Right.
He's like, "Arr!" I just love Gregor. He's so good for that comedic moments in the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus, Republic Commandos are awesome.
Yeah, you can't be the commando, bro. Okay, so that was good. I also had him on my list. So with that, my next one is also going to be a commando, and it's going to be Clone Commando Sev from the Star Wars Commandos video game.
Okay.
He was the sniper. I like him a lot. His armor looks cool, and he was a good shot, and he's cool. I like.
What a cool game! I know we've talked several times about having a segment on our podcast where we talk about different games and stuff like that, or
Right.
we deep dive into some of the games. So we can look forward to that coming in the future. But of course, this is going to be one we talk about because what a great game Republic Commando turned out to be.
Agreed.
And it's such a hidden gem of a game that at the time a lot of people didn't really consider and all that stuff. But I remember the stories and how they made some of the game almost like a horror stuff. Like the suspense was pretty high for a kid. There's a derelict ship and you're going through it and it's very ghostly and stuff. And it's just a great game.
Right.
You even got more on Geonosis, when they hunted Sunfac, the Geonosian leader guy. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great squad. They were really neat. So that's a great pick. Now you have your own commando as well.
I'm gonna battle it out, dude.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with my second pick here. Another probably fan favorite and one I like a lot. Maybe not the most great for a couple different reasons.
Right.
As far as who's left in terms of just straight combat, but I do really like. I'm gonna go with Echo. I was considering Heavy, somebody else, but I'm gonna go with Echo here. Echo was really cool. He was originally one of the very first things that we got introduced to.
Yes.
Was Domino Squad, and so my introduction to the Clone Wars TV show was we're going to be following Domino Squad. This squad is, silly. They're a little
They have their issues.
yeah, they weren't an elite squad.
Right.
And they definitely had problems. And you're like, okay, so the show's going to have character development. It's going to have this, it's going to have that, whatever. And as soon as the show starts going, we learn all about Echo, why he gets his nickname, because he's always repeating orders.
Yeah.
And you start to kind of enjoy these characters as they start to learn a little bit. And immediately the show starts killing off these characters and all of the rest of Domino Squad almost. One by one, they all start dying pretty early, and they start getting killed off in gruesome ways. And I'm like, what a weird thing that the movies didn't do, that the Clone Wars show did do, that I always appreciated, was personifying the clones, making them relatable, and then killing them off.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is wild. So that was a really interesting thing, and Echo was kind of my first introduction to that. So
Okay.
I thought he was one of the first main characters of the whole show.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he becomes an ARC Trooper later. And I love ARC Troopers.
You do.
I
You
really
really
like Rex, and he gets absorbed into the 501st because of Rex. So I think Echo's a perfect second choice for me.
So since you picked Echo, I'm gonna pick Fives.
Okay. Yep.
Fives is another one where he was in Domino Squad.
Yeah.
We watched him grow with Echo.
The
They
only-
became ARC Troopers at the same time.
Yeah.
They both served under Rex.
The only ones to survive
Through the whole
after
way.
a couple of battles, Domino Squad, the rest of them's all gone.
Yep.
So you got to see them sacrifice themselves and all that. And
Fives also played a big. His ending was a very large impact,
Yeah.
and it was right. It was getting close to the end of the war,
Absolutely.
where he found out about the the inhibitor chip.
Right.
After it was the whole thing after one of the inhibitor chips malfunctioned.
Right.
I think the trooper it malfunctioned was Tup. But I can't remember
that
exactly.
Sounds right. Yeah, he killed one of the two Jedi that were like brother or sisters.
Yeah.
Was it brother sister
They
or
were
were they
sisters,
two sisters?
two sisters.
Oh,
One was
okay.
red and one was yellow, I think, or tannish kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he found out about the inhibitor chip and
Right.
kind of went like almost AWOL.
Yeah, he went bonkers
and
trying to prove
he went
this.
crazy. Yeah, he was losing his mind
accused of
almost.
treason, and they
He
were
was being
hunting him
hunted
down. Yeah, it was a brutal situation. He also stood up. He had a great like speech with Pong Krell when Pong Krell was treating the on Umbara.
Yeah.
When they were like
they were fighting the clones.
Dude, and he stood up and he said that like
it was him and Rex that like really
it was, but
yeah.
Fives is the one that he said something that I want to say it was that a good soldier is someone who needs to be trusted, but also needs to like trust their own, like don't just follow blind orders basically.
Right,
and
right.
that I thought was like really, really powerful at the time. And I'm sure I'm misremembering the quote exactly, but it was something to that effect, and it was like really powerful to me when I watched it.
Yeah.
He's definitely a strong favorite. Fives is awesome.
His ending when he died, the Coruscant guard ended up shooting him because he grabbed the blaster. And then Rex was holding him, and he was telling the story. He's like, the dreams, the nightmares, they're all over. Once again, that's another part where I tear up. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
And watching him try his hardest to save the Republic at that point. He was going to try to save his brothers and everything.
This was big deal.
It was that was a really like a punch right to the heart. Watching that, but he's definitely once again my top favorites for clones. So
it's a great choice. I'd like to ask, if you had the choice of Echo or Fives, who do you put in your slot? Would you have still chosen Fives?
I still would have chosen Fives. I mean, if
I put them both, my personal thing, I put them both right next to each other, but I give Echo a touch of a lead, so it's really funny you give Fives a touch of a lead. I love that.
Yeah.
That's very typical for us.
Yeah, I agree. That's cool.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Nice. Well, that's a great pick. I think I'm up to my third round pick here, and there are more like individual people here than I was expecting at first that like really kind of touch you over the course of the time. I think mostly due to how surprising the shift in character arc was. My next choice is going to be Crosshair from the Bad Batch. I thought about it a lot, and I thought that the Bad Batch are all pretty amazing, and they all have kind of their moments. We've got a figure of Tech up here on our board. Tech was amazing, and he had some great sacrifices. I considered Hunter the leader of the group. I considered all of them. I think Crosshair has the most interesting arc throughout the show.
I agree.
I think he has some very amazing moments that come out, and you see like really a lot of struggle. You see somebody who the inhibitor chip, still kind of worked for him, and so he was at odds with people he considered his family. What he knew, he kind of pushed against them when they didn't agree with what he did, and he thought that good soldiers need to follow orders, directly in contrast to what I just said about Fives. And he tried to stay with the Empire. He learned the mistake of that and what that meant. There was so much character growth there that took him a long time to kind of understand, and they were just using him, and that he was nothing.
Well, the turning point of it when he was on the snow planet.
I know.
And he was with that other clone commander.
And he refused to leave a man behind, no matter how messed up he was, and the officer just treated them like dirt. So he kills his own officer and gets put in prison. Really brutal. Everything that happens to him after that, attempted brainwashing, it doesn't work out. He gets, he escapes and then gets broken out. And we see him later. He's got the effects of like PTSD. His hands won't stop shaking. He's a very complicated character, but at his peak, he's an extremely skilled sniper that is unlike anyone else that we've ever seen.
Those discs that he throws.
He could mirror the blasters off of. Oh, he was really, really cool in a bunch of different aspects. His combat capability was amazing, and then you see character growth in him and how much he ended up really appreciating Omega. Made me kind of like a character I didn't like very much.
Agreed.
Omega. because of their relationship, and that was really
Well, Omega
cool.
for me too. She slowly kind of grew on me
Over the course of
you
the
know,
time. I agree. Same thing to me.
but I do agree. Her and Crosshair's relationship at the end was
It was
definitely
powerful. It was really cool. So I think he's a great choice. And of course, if we're just doing this for the sake of a battle, it's great to have a guy like that in the fight. So
Agreed. Okay. So then my next pick, which for
You're
fourth
up to
pick,
4, yes sir.
I'm going to do another kind of leader. It is Commander Thorn.
Thorn.
He was the Coruscant guard in season 7. Do you remember when he took Padme? They landed at the banking clan, I think it was, and while the gunship was on the landing pad, the Separatists came in and just shot up the entire landing pad. He had that final stand where he was in the center of a circle of just like B1 battle droids, commando droids, super battle droids, and he had the light machine gun blaster, and he's just sitting there blasting them all. He got shot like 4 times and was still just fighting as hard as he could. And he was like, "For the Republic," or whatever, and he was just blasting them all down, and he ended up dying. But he had like the craziest last stand for any clone that I remember, except for one other one who I'm actually going to pick too, unless you get it.
Maybe.
Unless you get it. But his last stand was like,
Okay.
it was crazy. I think it was season 7 that it was in. I want to say it was season 7.
7 was last season.
Last season, yeah. I think it was like the first couple episodes it was.
Okay.
Either that or it was 6. But either way, it was towards the tail end. But it was at that episode right there, watching him do that, I was like, oh my gosh.
That's
like
cool.
what a hard way to go out. Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
was just,
yeah.
I mean, just giving it his all. And he knew he was done.
Yeah.
But he did not stop until he was done. So
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good choice. I like that. I think that's pretty neat. The heroic sacrifice is always hard to ignore.
Yeah.
When you get that thrown right in your face, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Nice. So you of course so far you've got Rex, you've got Sev, you've got Fives, and now Thorn. I so far have Gregor, Echo, and Crosshair. I think I'm gonna start going in a slightly different direction here. My 4th pick, I'm gonna go with Hauser.
okay.
Captain Hauser was not a commander; he was a captain, I guess. Hauser is interesting. He's the one who was on Ryloth and was helping the Syndulas, General Syndulla, and Hera when she was a baby. And he was kind of helping to liberate the planet and kind of pacify them, stabilize everything. But he was also there during that transition of when the Empire was coming into place. And so the Republic was turning to the Empire, and all of a sudden the Twi'leks that were fighting for their freedom and having the clones help them now are having these Imperials, clones,
Imprison
enslaving them, basically. And so these freedom fighters just turned over their arms and they stopped. And now they've got this going on, and Hauser was sympathetic. He did not want them to kill, a little baby Hera, basically, when she was doing stuff with Chopper. And he helped them to escape. He helped, some things. He got in trouble for that, and they end up arresting him. And he also looked really cool. His color scheme was teal, like turquoise colored, and I always thought that was like the coolest thing. It's one of my favorite colors as well, so it's pretty biased just from an appearance standpoint.
Right.
But I thought he was a really cool character. Another one who realized that just because you've been given an order by your superior, that doesn't mean you should blindly follow it.
Right.
That you have the power to think for yourself, and I thought that was really cool. Sad end for him as well. He didn't die in a sacrifice, but he was captured and imprisoned and taken away, and we never see him again. So we don't really know what happened
Was
to
he
him.
not there at the end of Bad
Nope.
Batch with Rex?
Nope.
Who was the...
So, interestingly, if it stays, I'm going to bring up a point in my next pick.
Okay.
So we'll resume the discussion in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, you're up to your last pick there.
So my last pick is another clone who had another heroic end. His name is Captain Keeley.
Okay.
So he died on Ryloth with his Jedi commander. Holy crap, my thing's frozen. Oh, there we go. Hello. Anyway, his Jedi commander, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's Master Ima Gundy.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
So I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce his name, but I've always said that his name is funny because it's Imagundi. I'm gonna die, and he dies like a chump.
Yeah.
So
Well, it wasn't really so much like a chump. It was pretty cool.
I always thought he was I'm gonna die.
Yeah, right.
But yeah.
But Captain Keeley, like when they were fighting, all the clones started getting wiped out because they were taking on this massive
Right.
like just the army of the droids, and so the Jedi General looks over and he's just laying there like on his face, and so he's like, oh no, he's just sitting there fighting, and then you hear him say, General or whatever, and he goes, Captain Keeley, and he goes, I'm not out yet, and he just comes up and he's like limping and he starts fighting again, and unfortunately dies. But then when the Jedi General dies, like the fleet for the Republic comes out of orbit into the atmosphere, and he goes, he's like, what does he say? The Twi'leks live. The Twi'leks live to fight another war or something like that.
Right.
And then he gets shot down, and I was like, that is, once again, it's like a whole nother time. We were like, what an ending for them.
These guys know what they're doing. They're getting into, and then maybe they're just stalling for time to try to save an ally.
They knew they were done, and it's like, well, and watching the same thing with Commander Thorne, it's like they knew they were finished, but they didn't. They were just going to continue. It could have been them against, I don't know exactly how they went out. It was them against 100, 200 droids. Yeah. And they don't care. They're like, well, if I can take out 15 more, that's 15 more that nobody else has to worry about.
Right.
And it's just like, what a heroic way for just to go out. So that's why I like him too.
Yeah, I don't know if he was one of the ones, or if I'm really misremembering it, but when they were originally on Ryloth the first time, there were two clones that get separated in a platoon, and they move, and they save like a little Twi'lek girl.
Waxer and Boyle.
Okay.
That was 212th Battalion.
I thought that was Cody's battalion, but I wasn't sure if that had anything to do with Keeley and the guy you're talking about there.
No, but unfortunately,
that was a crazy
Boyle, I
moment
think, dies
too.
on Umbara. Under General
Pong Krell.
Yeah, under General Krell.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, because Rex sees him and runs up and takes his helmet. He's like, Boyle. I think it was Boyle. It's either Boyle or Waxer. Either way, picks off his helmet.
Right.
I think it was Boyle, because Boyle, I think, was the one who told the little Twilight girl, he's like, we'll be back. We'll see you again. And he never. There were so many
heart-wrenching moments in a show that you would think is supposed to be like a kids show, and yet, like, we just keep talking about, like, these guys sacrificing themselves, they're doing all these kind of crazy heroic things, and you're like, whoa! After you spend time learning about them and finding out that they're individuals and they're not just like the droids.
Well, what was it in the episode 4 when it was Yoda going to the planet to meet the I always get them confused. I always want to say Trandoshan. I know it's not Trandoshan.
Oh yeah, the Toydarians. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
In that episode, the clones were like, we're just numbers. And Yoda was like, no, you're not. Like, each of one of you, you guys share the same face, but you're all very different. And I was like, that's true. That's cool.
Yeah.
And Plo Koon did the same thing to his troops. He was like, we're just clones. Nobody cares.
Turned their, and that was cool. It was very cool. I mean,
it showed the compassion that the Jedi had for their clones.
Absolutely.
I was like, I like that a lot.
In that final scene that you were talking about earlier when you drafted Rex, where he has to go against his own brothers, and Jesse's there. And he's got to look Jesse in the face again. That's another character that we've seen since the very beginning.
Yeah.
And now this guy's trying to kill him, as a traitor. And that's pretty horrible. But Ahsoka tells Rex that, that he, over all this time, he's a good person, he's a good leader, he was a good friend. So, like, you could tell that they were obviously super close, and, like, these guys have spent time together. It really humanized these clones.
Yeah.
And that's not something you could really get. Obviously, you couldn't spend that much time, but you didn't get that at all in the movies.
Right.
So I really appreciated the fact that the show could do that. Yeah. It was what set it apart to me.
Yeah.
So my final pick here, I am gonna go in a very different direction than everybody that we've both drafted so far. It definitely qualifies still as a clone. And,
is it who I think it is?
I'm going to pick Boba Fett. No.
No, it's not.
He's an unaltered clone.
That's true.
No, I'm going to pick someone that doesn't have a name, but it is an Imperial Shadow agent, one of Hemlock's in the very end of the Bad Batch, The guy that was chasing them around, that was fighting toe-to-toe with Crosshair. He's in full black gear. We never get really told anything about them other than that this is a special project.
Yeah.
We do find at the very last bit of Bad Batch, there's more than just him, of course. There's other ones. But the one specifically I'm talking about is that one that was going toe-to-toe with Crosshair and hunted them down, found their, base earlier and bombed it and all that.
They're the same ones that had the electrocution.
Yes,
chip in their tooth.
they would kill themselves, when they got captured.
Yeah.
But the reason why I said that I might revisit something later is because we learned that what was happening is Hemlock was taking these soldiers to Tantus and clones, and he was brainwashing them and turning them into these shadow agents. So these are normal people, normal clones that got their registry numbers stripped. They were removed and they were brainwashed, and now they're an elite
machines
fighting stealth assassin.
Yeah.
And so that gives me a little bit different perspective when you go back in time a little bit and you look at people like Hauser, and he was arrested and he was sent away and we never see him again.
Could it have been Hauser?
He definitely would have been in an eligible group of people that they would have tried to brainwash and turn into one of those people.
Well, they tried doing that with Crosshair.
And it didn't work with Crosshair.
Yep.
But we have no idea what happened to several of the very prominent clones, like Cody, who left the Empire,
Yeah.
but we don't know exactly what happened. We've never seen him again. Now, is that Cody? Is that Hauser that's under that black helmet? We'll never know. But I think that the idea that it's Hauser or someone similar is really interesting to me. So it's a person who's been brainwashed, who's forced to fight against his former allies. That's heartbreaking in its own way. But pretty interesting stuff. So I think that's going to be my last guy. I don't even have a name for him. He's just a shadow agent is all they called him.
Cool.
So yeah, that's gonna round out my group.
Okay.
Were there any others that you were a little disappointed we didn't get to put on our list?
Well, I had Clone Commando Scorch.
Scorch. He's great.
He was in the Commando games, and then I'm assuming it's the same one, Scorch, that was in Bad Batch.
At the very least, he's heavily inspired. If it's not the exact same guy, it's the same name.
Yeah.
He's the same class and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had him. I had Cody.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't get Cody. I
do really like
really
Cody.
close to getting Cody.
Right. I do really like him, but Thorne and Keeley kind of took that because of the way they went out.
Because it
But
was
Cody
more
also had the
impactful.
thing where he saw through the BS of the Empire.
Yeah.
And he was like, "This isn't us.
But
this
not
isn't
until
what we do." Not
really
until the
late.
Bad Batch.
Like Order 66 worked for him.
Yeah.
Like we saw him in the movies trying to kill one of our most famous Jedi. Like, oh no.
That's what I'm saying.
This is a guy he fought side by side with for so long.
But for him to be like, which
Wow.
other clones did it too, obviously.
To come to the realization of
I'm done. Yeah, this is bad. This isn't right. I'm a soldier. We're not here to just kill civilians. So it's like, he was on there. Jesse
of course.
was on there.
Yep.
Wrecker, Hunter,
Yeah.
Crosshair.
Tech.
Tech was on mine.
All of the Bad Batch.
Um,
Technically, Omega and Boba are also clones.
Right. I just didn't put them because
That's a silly thing to put in a fight like this, I guess.
agree.
But
I had Echo on mine.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to pick him. I might have picked him. I don't know. It would have been
It
if you
just
didn't pick him.
depended
It just been if he's
yeah,
available.
if I had your other choices.
And another one is he's kind of, I don't know if you know him. His name is once again, I hope I don't butcher it, but it's like Danal.
I don't think I know.
He was a 501st. He served under Rex.
Okay.
He was the clone trooper who had his paint came down like double, like across his eyes, and then it like flared out like this.
Okay.
I really just liked his helmet. And he was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a good trooper. But I had him on there just because I like him. I actually had him as an action figure too when I was a kid.
That's cool.
When they brought him out. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of good choices. They had I used to play a trading card game that was Star Wars based, and it had a lot of the Jedi Generals commanders,
Okay.
and a lot of the artwork was really really cool. So like I ended up really liking a lot of them. We didn't talk about Wolf, did we? That's like one of your favorite
I'm
guys.
sorry. I do have him on there as well.
Yeah, I just realized but obviously that was Commander was Plo Koon's guy, and he's got the really cool the Wolf Pack.
Well, his whole armor.
That's
and
such a
color
neat
and,
thing.
yeah.
And obviously we know he survives and gets to the very end and,
Yep.
and is on the good guys team. But like all the other commanders, Commander Bly was Aayla Secura's. He was the yellow one, and he was like he had that special visor for the speeder bikes.
Commander Gree.
Commander Gree, the green one that was
chopped his head
Yoda chopped his head off on Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
There was one of my favorite. It was not a good guy. Was Commander Fox. Fox was Fox is kind of tricky because there's two Foxes, but what I'm talking about is the commander, the one who was the commander of the Coruscant Guard. He was in red. He's the one who killed Fives. He was the one who got Padme back when Zero was going, and they sent him to go get her. He participated in Order 66. Like he was in the prison when Anakin was trying to get by to go get Ahsoka when she was falsely accused, and he wouldn't stand down.
Yeah.
Like he was a dude, and he was brutal, and he was not a good guy. He ended up staying on the side of the Empire, but bright red armor. He led the guard. He was very skilled. I always thought he was cool.
Yeah, same thing as Commander Thorn. He was Coruscant Guard as well.
Yeah.
So that's They look so bad, dude. I like their armor scheme.
They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much
was that
everybody.
your Commander Bly and
Bly, Gree, Fox, those were the big ones. Other than that, ones we already talked about. Jesse. I also there's something about that heroic sacrifice thing. So like I also had Heavy on my list because the
detonated the
guys from Domino Squad, and he allowed them to leave because the bombs wouldn't go off. The remote detonator broke, and he just stays behind to blow himself up. To let them know that there was an attack coming on Camino. And probably honorable mention Clone 99.
I thought about writing him down. I didn't put him down, but that
He's
was
not
one of
good
the other
for
thoughts that I had.
anything in this
Just
particular
heart.
draft,
Just heart.
but a lot of heart. Sacrificed himself, made himself useful to the squad.
Another sad time.
Another sad time. Tons of sad times in that show.
It really is.
Really
I can't tell you the
tons
amount
of
of
sad
times that
times.
I've teared up watching Clone Wars.
Watching Clone Wars. Yeah. Especially the whole last 4 episodes of season 7 were just so brutal. Seeing the Order 66.
Watching Maul trying to stop Order 66
Oh
from happening.
yeah, from a completely different perspective. I don't know if it's a hot take or not, because this is my opinion, but it's probably a lot of people's opinion. I think the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, season 7, are some of the best Star Wars content of all time.
I agree.
Like I put it as high as of any of the movies.
I agree.
It's
it doesn't beat
so
episode 3 for
phenomenal.
me.
But I would seriously put it toe to toe with any of the
I
movies.
completely agree.
If you counted all 4 of those together, squashed them together as
we
one
did
movie.
that too. I mean, we watched
one
back to back to
story,
back to back.
so why not?
remember? No,
But
I
it's
agree.
so well done.
Yeah.
It's so well done.
It really is. The writing, everything like that is freaking superb.
Right.
You see everything happening that leads up to it. Like I said, watching Maul trying to get Ahsoka to be like, listen, this is going to happen. Anakin is going to he's falling towards the dark side now. He's going to join with the Sith Lord, who is my master. I know what their plan is. We have to stop this. We have to go stop. She's like, well, what are you going to do? She's like, hey, I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then Ahsoka was like, you know, I was like, okay. But watching Maul, who was a monster, say, we have to stop this.
Yeah.
And him trying to, like, basically begging Ahsoka, like, come with me, which we've seen him say, come with me before, and he's trying to get an apprentice. But at this point, I feel like he's scared of what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't take Sidious, and he knew that.
Right. He was like, we have to end this now, or the entire world, the entire universe is just going to be destroyed. And she didn't listen, and then he felt it through the Force when Anakin when 66 happened, Anakin did his thing. She felt it at the same time, and he was in his little prison thing. But it was like,
and he breaks out and he goes crazy, and she used him as a distraction just to go up. He's cutting people in half with doors and
dude.
stuff.
He pulled that one guy, remember that clone? He like grabbed his arm with the Force and pulled it through the locking door.
Yanked him back. That was pretty brutal, dude.
Oh my god.
Great stuff.
And then took his comm too.
Yeah, so you could hear what's going on.
It was good.
The only thing I just remembered, but going back to the clones, people that we didn't talk about but had very interesting moments in the show, was Cut. Cut, not Cut Up, but Cut. Cut was the one who was the deserter, who we found on Seleucami.
With the Twi'lek.
And he had the Twi'lek family. He married the woman and adopted the 2 kids.
Yeah.
And he was just a deserter. And Rex got wounded, crash landed there, and
He took over.
And he was taking care of him. But it told us through Rex arguing with Cut, like a whole different perspective of these clones that were just having no choice, no say in anything, and like the morality of war and all that. again, from the perspective of like, is this a kid's show? What
Yeah.
is this? Is a show that makes you think.
We've said this
about a
before
lot of
that at the
stuff.
beginning of the Clone Wars, and after this, we'll probably end it. But
Sure.
at the beginning of the Clone Wars, it was very much more of a kid show.
Yeah.
And you could tell once the
It evolved
like
pretty
third
quick.
season came, it started getting pretty heavy, and then all the way up to season 7, it was nothing. And you know what I mean? It was just insane. And so it is funny because I do think when they started it, they were like, this is going to be majority
Geared
for
towards
the
children.
you know, the
Yeah.
younger generation. And then they were like, oh, all these people, everybody's watching it. Let's tone it up. And then they have what they have. When they might not, and it might not have been that way,
Right.
but that's
It might
exactly
just
how
appear
it
that
felt.
way.
It was like first, second season was like more childish, you know.
Yeah.
Still great show. But then it was season 3, and they were like, and they turned that notch up, you know. And it was
Yeah,
like, oh,
absolutely.
You know? And then season 7 came, and they full blast. I was like, okay.
The show definitely matured pretty quickly when we had Ahsoka being pretty whiny in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then I think it was right at like season 3 where they did another like a design change. Her outfit changed, and that was right about the time the mood changed, and I was like, okay, so they had different direction at this point. Whether that meant they took the limits off of Dave Filoni and they said you do whatever you want to do with the
Right
script
at
that
how
you
you
created,
think, yeah.
or I don't know, but it was definitely right at that time where the show started feeling like a show I wanted to watch consistently instead of a show I was watching just because it was Star Wars. And that was phenomenal. So I couldn't really ask anything more of that show.
Yeah.
I think the way it other than that, I wished it had kept going.
Played out great.
Yeah, it would have been amazing to see more of right where it got cut off too, because that was getting to Asajj and Quinlan, and that bit of the story arc was supposed to be getting told to us. Got told to us in the book, but those are some of my favorite characters too. So I was a little sour that we didn't get to see that the show ended there. But
well, you never know. Maybe we'll get something that's a spin-off of
we
Asajj
definitely
and Quinlan.
Yeah,
which would be awesome. So.
And now that we got to see her again way later in the Bad Batch, and she's got the yellow saber and she's changed, like that's definitely all real canon stuff.
Yeah.
Those books are canon too,
Yeah.
the one with her, which is great. So, but yeah, I think that was a pretty great draft, and we got to close out everything pretty strongly.
I agree.
Yeah, we always have a lot to talk about when we get into some of our favorite shows and stuff. So we'll have to save that for
we'll have to
time.
save it for later, yeah. But that's unfortunately what happens with us. So, but it's all good. But alrighty, well, thank you guys again for stopping in and checking us out. Be sure to get on the Facebook and keep an eye out for the polls to be able to vote for this week's arena. And as always, may the force be with you.
Thanks. Goodbye.